All right, old school NBA fans, self-researched NBA facts. Got another video for you. As always, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. I had other topics picked out, but because these LeBron people have to get on here, run their mouth, they try to get personal, try to dictate to me what I should be playing or whatever. Never disputing facts. I find that the funniest thing. Like I've said to them, if you want to go after Michael Jordan, go ahead. Give it your best shot. Do a video like the one I'm going to do here. Go ahead. It does not bother me. You want to know why? Because I understand the power of Michael Jordan's overall game and his overall resume. You're not going to find holes in it. If you think that getting beat by a 67-win Boston team when you're a 30-win team, getting swept 3-0, if some kind of an insult or something, then have at it. That's just a stupid thing. If that's all you got, then yeah, it's over. Just stop. Anyway, in this video here, something I was not even looking for, but I had just discovered. So then I started researching other teams about it. And what I realized is the 2011 Miami Heat was historic in the way that they melted down. Not just losing a 2-1 lead and not just because LeBron James had like a 17-point game and an 8-point game and, let Jason Terry run roughshod over him and all that. No, this is deeper than that. And I didn't even know this. Maybe some of you guys knew it. It's common knowledge, I just don't know if anybody's ever put this together. And if you have, cool, then you already know what I'm talking about. But this is something I had no idea until I looked at it. And it went all the way back to the merger, and there's no team that did this. There's a few that, are, in the relative ballpark, but none that did this. So, I'll get into it. 2011 Miami Heat. They were what? 58-24 team. Okay, whatever, fine. In the semifinals in 2011, the Miami Heat played the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics were the defending East champions, okay? I think they were, 15-32? But anyway, they took the Lakers to Game 7 in 2010. The defending East champions. In that season, 2011, Boston was number 1 opponents' points allowed at 91.1, okay? They were the number 2 defensive rated team in the NBA. They were the number 6 net rated team overall. They had 4 All-Stars. Kevin Garnett in the regular season shot 52.8%. 52.8. Against Miami, 44.1. So that is 8.7% lower. That is an awesome job against the top 20 all-time player, at least in my opinion. In Miami, they gentlemen swept them. 4 All-Stars. Number 1 opponents' points allowed. Number 2 net rated defense. Defending Eastern Conference champion. Gentlemen swept them. Eastern Conference Finals against the Bulls. Now, the Bulls are 62-20. That's good for the best record in the NBA. Okay, they were number 2 opponents' points allowed at 91.3 points a game. That's just 0.2 of a point more than what Boston allowed. They were the number 1 defensive rated team in the NBA. They were the number 2 net rated team in the NBA. They had Derrick Rose, the MVP. Derrick Rose in the regular season goes 44.5% from the field. Against Miami, 35% even. That's 9.5% worse. The Bulls were 50-9 before the Eastern Conference Finals against Miami. I mean, they were red hot. 50-9. That's a very good record. Okay, Miami, Gentlemen swept them too. 4-1, 4-1. Incredible. Okay. In the finals against Dallas. Dallas is a 57-25 team. They were number 10 in opponents' points per game allowed at 96 points per game. They were the number 8 defensive rated team. They were the number 8 net rated team. So they're a good team, but anybody who thinks Dallas was somehow some historically great team because they beat the Lakers and OKC, please, okay? Yeah, they were a good team, sure, but I think they're in line with like the 92 Trailblazers, you know what I mean, as an example. The 94 Knicks. I just do. That's about the way I look at them. Those teams aren't bad teams, not at all. But were they? Was Dallas like some juggernaut? No. Just because they beat Miami does not put them in juggernaut, status. Because they beat OKC and the Lakers. No, that does nothing. Okay. In the finals, Dirk Nowitzki in the regular season shot 51.7%. Now remember, Dirk is finals MVP. Dirk Nowitzki in the finals shot 41.6%. That's less than 10% under his season average. That's insane. If you told me the Miami was going to gentleman sweep the defending East champions, number one opponent's points allowed in the NBA, a 4 all-star team, they gentleman sweep them, the number 2 points allowed, number 1 defensive rated team, number 2 net rated team, they had the MVP, and they gentleman swept them. And then you would have told me that Miami was up 2-1. Who would have bet against Miami? It would have been a sucker bet, right? Okay. And then, of course, they lost 4-2. Now, here's the crux of the video. I went through and looked at every team going back to the merger. And there is no team since the merger that beat the defending conference champion and the number 1 seed best record team in the NBA in 5 games like this. It's never happened. Never. And then to do this, to have a lead and to do this and have a lead in the finals, it's never happened. This is the one and only time. No one has ever done this. How could a team be this good and beat 2 high-level teams, the 2 best defensive-rated teams in the NBA, in 5 games each, and then completely lose it after up 2-1? It just doesn't make sense. It does not register. All right, so here's a few teams that, like I said, might be in the relative ballpark of them. So the 1991 Lakers, well, they beat Portland 4-2. Now, Portland was the defending West champs, and they had the best record in the NBA. So they were kind of like 2 teams in one, but it wasn't in back-to-back series. It was pretty much just the conference finals. But it was in 6 games, not 5. And the Lakers had a 1-0 lead against the Bulls. That's not the same as a 2-1 lead. 2-1, you only need 2 more wins before they get 3. So you definitely have a big advantage there. So again, anybody who is even remotely close, I included them for the purposes of this video. I don't think the 91 Lakers qualifies because it did not involve 2 different teams. The 2004 Lakers were probably the closest. Now, they beat Minnesota in the semifinals 4-2. Minnesota had the best record in the NBA. I think they were 58-24. All right. Then they turn around the Lakers and beat San Antonio 4-2. And San Antonio was the defending champions. Definitely the defending conference champions. They were defending champions. So they had the same kind of scenario here. But again, they didn't beat them in 5 games. It was in 6 and 6. And then in the finals, the Lakers never led in the series. Detroit got game 1, the Lakers got game 2, and then Detroit won 3 in a row. So, yeah, that's sort of in the ballpark, but not quite exactly. All right, 2006 Dallas. In the semifinals, they beat the defending champion Spurs in 7. Okay, so right there, that's not the same as gentlemen sweeping them. But then in the conference finals, they beat Phoenix. They were a mere 54-win team, just, good team, but nothing special to write home about. They did have a 2-0 lead in the finals. That much is true. But they did not beat the defending conference champion and the team with the best record in the NBA in back-to-back series in 5 games or less. Didn't happen. The Spurs actually had the best record in the West. I think it was Detroit was 64-18, had the best record in the NBA. They were 63-19, the Spurs were. So Dallas did beat them in 7. And again, Miami's not the only team to beat some good teams in the conference playoffs and then have a lead in the finals and lose it. But not this good in back-to-back opponents. That's never happened. And do this well to beat them in 5-5. 2009, Orlando. Now, they beat Boston in 7 in the semifinals. They were the defending champions. That's true. And then they beat Cleveland, who had the best record in the NBA. That's also true. However, they did not beat them in 5, and they didn't have Kevin Garnett, for one thing. And they beat Cleveland in 6, not 5. And they never led in the 2009 finals. They were down 2-0, won a game, lost the next 2. So not the same thing. 2010 Boston. They beat the team with the best record in the NBA. They were 61-21, Cleveland. And then they beat the defending East champs, Orlando. Now, Boston did have a 3-2 lead in the finals. So again, in the relative ballpark, but they didn't gentlemen sweep either one of these teams. They beat them in 6. And then, a 3-2 lead is not really, I guess it's pretty much the same as a 2-1 lead. You got to get 1 win before they get 2, even though they were in LA, whatever. That one's, again, in the relative ballpark, but it was not a gentleman sweep. They did not gentleman sweep the best team in the NBA record-wise, and then gentleman sweep the defending conference champions in back-to-back series. That did not happen, okay? The lead part of it, you could say that there stands as the same. But this, no, that had nothing to do with it. So Boston, like I said, they were number 1 defense, number 2. They were number 2 defense rated team, number 1 opponents points allowed, number 6 net rated team overall. 4 All-Stars. There was Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Rajon Rondo. Also, Boston, in their previous 5 playoff series, so that goes the first round in 2011 and all 4 in 2010, they were 19-9. Now, that's really good for a team that did not win the championship. That's a very good record. So this is a good good battle-tested, good playoff team that was in the finals 2 of the last 3 seasons, and they smashed them in 5 games. Nobody smashed Boston in 5 games. In the first year they got together in 08, KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, they won the championship. In 09, Garnett was injured, and even though Garnett was injured, it still took Orlando 7 games to knock them out. And then in 2010, they pushed LA to Game 7, hard-fought, low-scoring game. This was no easy team to dispatch. Even in 2012, the next year, Boston pushed Miami to 7 games. No easy team to dispatch. But Miami did it in 5 games. Like, what is going on? And the Bulls, like I said, they had the MVP, the number 1 defensive team in the NBA, the number 2 net-rated team. They were 50-9 before playing Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they lose in 5. It's unheard of. Chicago had 3 players of top 20 for Defensive Player of the Year: Luol Deng, Joakim Noah, and Keith Bogans. They also had like Carlos Boozer and Taj Gibson. They were definitely a team built for defense. with Derrick Rose providing the offense with some help from like Luol Deng. Definitely that was the way they did it, no question. And Boston, like I said, with the 4 All-Stars, KG was runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. Rajon Rondo finished 5th for Defensive Player of the Year. And I think he was actually 10th for MVP. So these two teams had a quarter of the top 20 players for Defensive Player of the Year, just between those two teams. So obviously, this is a very, very good, back-to-back defensive teams that you got to play. Gentlemen sweeping them both, having a 2-1 lead in the finals, and losing 3 straight games. It's never happened since the merger. Like I said, simply put, beating the defending conference champs in a gentleman's sweep and beating the team currently that year with the best record in the NBA, gentleman's sweep, those two things right there, and then having a lead in the finals, 2-1, getting to the second game before Dallas did, and then not winning another game. That's crazy. That means they were 10-3 between these series before losing 3 in a row. I mean, that is one of the biggest disappointments, choke jobs, meltdowns that you'll ever see. Now, most people focus just on what LeBron did, his meltdown, his, disappointment, whatever you want to call it. Sure, that's true. But as a team, it was a historic one, especially when you hold the MVP of the league to 35% shooting, 35%. And then Kevin Garnett, the runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year, they're clearly their best player, shoots 52.8% of the regular season. You hold them to 44.1%. That's remarkable. That's good stuff. And then Jason Terry in the finals was 45.1 in the regular season, goes up to 49.4. There's just nothing quite like this. I mean, ever. There's just nothing like it. I mean, period. Like I said, there's a couple of instances where they're in the ballpark, but never did they dominate like this just to lose 3 in a row. It's never happened since the merger. To beat those two quality teams up in the finals, to lose 3 in a row. It's never happened since the merger. I looked at everything, believe me. And these were the best, 5 cases. 91 Lakers, 04 Lakers, 06 Dallas, 09 Orlando, and 2010 Boston. And no, it just none of them fits that bill. They did not only allow 1 win in both series, have a lead in the finals of at least 2 games with a lead, which would be 2-1 in this case, and then lose. There's nothing since the merger. Believe me, I looked at everything and we got nothing. So again, I mean, this is not a focus on LeBron James per se, but this is Miami Heat in general. But again, he's regarded as the best player on the team, so he's going to have to own this too. So I don't understand when people are trying to make these GOAT cases, how stuff like this does not weigh heavy against him. Do you just ignore it? Do you act like it didn't happen? Do you think like, oh, it's not that big a deal? I mean, what do you do with this? You can't just ignore it. You can't sweep it under the rug. It has to be brought to the forefront and be part of the overall picture. I mean, I don't know what we're talking about. I mean, this is part of the reason why I don't have LeBron James in the top 10. Now, he team hopped even to make this happen, definitely. So that's something I definitely hold against him right there. But this 2009 to 2011, that whole run was just unbelievably bad for LeBron. He was never going to be able to redeem that bad of a disappointment. But this one right here, the 2011, is just the culmination of it all. 2 gentlemen sweeps against these quality teams. Like I said, Boston was no pushover. From 2008 to 2012, over a 5-year period, there's nobody beating them in 5 games. I mean, hell, they won the championship, lost in 7. This one here, yeah, lost in 5, lost in 7 in 2012. So that means in 5 years, nobody did better than beating them in 7, because they lost in 7 in 09 and 10. They won it in 08. They lost in 7 in 2012. And then in 2011, Miami gentleman sweeps them, busts them up. So anyway, I've never heard anybody discuss these rounds. Everybody's just focused on the finals. But again, how you can be this good against this quality of a team and then just fall apart in the finals. I've never seen anything like it. People just want to put it on the finals competition. No, there's no definitive proof that the Dallas Mavericks in 2011 was a better team than either the Bulls or Boston. There's no proof at all. If you go by the record, the Bulls are better than them. If you go by net rating, both teams are better. If you go by defensive rating, both teams are better. If you go by experience, Boston definitely better. If you go by who had the best player, well, Derrick Rose won the MVP. I mean, there's just no real proof that Dallas was better than these teams. None. At best, you could say they're around equal. And at worst, you could say, no, they weren't as good as these teams. But yet, Miami housed these guys and then got housed in the finals while having a 2-1 lead. Never seen anything like it. So anyway, that's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please hit the like button. And please, if let me know in the comments. Did you understand the full, broad context of this? If you did, let me know, because I never heard anybody talking about it. Whenever they bring up Miami in 2011, they only want to talk about the finals. But what about the rest of it? How they just crushed these guys, crushed them, and then fell apart in the second half of the finals. It's just unbelievable. Like I said, I went through and look, there's just nobody who did it like Miami did, falling apart like that against what they went up against, gentlemen sweeping and all that. So anyway, that's all I got for this video. And like I said, thanks for watching. Until next time.